All right, guys, it's my last recording, last class, and I also decided I'm just going to go ahead and post this immediately with all the rest of the assignments. So for the next mandatory office hours, you guys can ask me whatever questions you want. Like I said, especially by that meeting, I want to make sure I have contact with every student, make sure you guys are doing the journals. Like I said, you guys get a little behind with a lot of requirements left, but yeah, even though this is really a class worth one journal assignment, 1 point, I do want to cover counseling a little bit again. Like I said, I had a lot of questions about it. No reinventing the wheel here, all right? So I'm going to submit a rubric as far as how I'm going to grade it. And I definitely want you guys to make it like a real life scenario, as in counsel your actual cadets. And if you don't have any, like I said, worst case scenario, you can counsel me. All right, so make sure you fill out the admin portion properly and you guys actually do everything to standard. All right, so today's class, range cards and sector sketches. You guys probably heard this a lot. You guys do it during your FTXs and probably not during lab time because we have limited time, but we do utilize this a lot, especially in the defense and during patrol-based operations. All right, so today's learning objectives, going to identify weapon icons, which I already gave you guys during the cheat sheet, the range data card, which is the DD form 5517, and then apply the knowledge on how to fill the form out. All right, so like I said, here's a lot of weapons icons. Like I said, in this one in particular, we're going to utilize the Javelin system, which looks like the anti-tank missile launcher. But like I said, a lot of times it'll just be your saw gun or your 240 Bravo. All right, so here's the DA 5517 range card. There's 3 sections to this. There's the admin information, which is the marginal information, the sector sketch, and the data section. So starting off with the marginal information, like I said, you just go part of what company, platoon, and squad you are. It could even go down to vehicle number. And then when you see the magnetic north, you're actually just going to you're going to pull out your compass and figure out where north is pointing in that specific direction. The sector sketch section, each ring, there's 9 of them, is going to dictate kind of utilizing your max effective range for each weapon system. And as you're drawing your picture, the data section explains it in words. All right, so here's the first part in building your sector sketch. All right, so when you're looking at the picture on the left, it's the gunner's sector of fire. So say you're actually hiding right here and covering concealment right here in this tree line, and they identified your left limit right here just by the church, and then your right limit where these other wood line is at, if you will. So basically, this picture on the right is taking the range card and identifying your MEL, all right, which is your maximum engagement line. All right, so in here, this weapon system right here, you can view it in a PowerPoint mode and then click on it like control. There's actually a link on it, and it shows you a video of kind of what a Javelin system does. It's kind of cool. It's about a 3-minute video. All right, so like I said, there's 9 different rings here, and know your max engagement line for a Javelin system is about 2,000 meters. All right, so basically what you're going to do is take 2,000 and divide it by 9, and you're going to get 222. So each ring is going to be 222, but to simplify it, you're just going to round it up. So every 220 meters, it's going to be a difference. So 220 here, 440 here, 660 here, 880 here, so on and so forth. All right. All right, so here's the next section. Basically, you take what you learned in the first slide and you draw it. All right. So going to the first slide, you see a couple bridges right here. You see the barn and the church. So right here, they drew the church, the barn, creek, and they just lay it all out on the sector sketch with your Javelin system. All right, and then you draw your sectors of fire, which is typically given to you by your squad leader, or your platoon leader, depending on whatever position you are. But like I said, this is for a fighting position for every soldier that is designated to draw. And like I said, when you're in a patrol base, typically when you guys are doing defensive operations, everybody should have a range card. So you know your sectors of fire and you have 360 all the way around. And then again, you could kind of see where the MEL is that was drawn from the previous slide right here. So the maximum engagement line. It basically shows these arrows right here showing this is the furthest you can go, because obviously there's woods or there's tree lines, or maybe your weapon system can't support that. All right, so this is continuation from the same page. Now you're going to identify your avenues of approach. So like I said, number 1 and 2 is your left limit, your right limit, and then your avenues of approach. Obviously, when the enemies come in your direction, they're probably going to travel on the main supply route. So whatever roads, identify high avenues of approach. Why that's important, think about like whether a tank system can get through there or not. Like I said, Bradley's, and if you're on foot, obviously somebody can come through the tree line. But obviously, main avenues of approach are areas where they can get through fast, and it's kind of like the easy route. All right, so target reference points. Target reference points are good for when enemies are coming, and you either identify, here we have 5 and 6. It's the church and the barn, and it also so happens to be on an intersection. So you want your target reference points on a known point or location, like an intersection or a main terrain feature that's easily identifiable. So at a minimum, every range card should have at least 1 target reference point, but no more than 3. I think once you have 3, it's a little overkill, and like I said, you really just can't expand beyond that. So 2 is a good number, and like I said right here, there's 2 target reference points. It's good for identifying fires, where you want your if you have priority fires and you have mortar rounds, and you want to utilize those, like I said, get those 8 grid digits and you can send them up. But you want it where your high avenues of approach or enemy is going to go, or where you want to fixate the enemy. All right, carrying on to dead space. As you can see from the previous slide, there's nothing here. But when you go to identifying dead space, like I said, once you're beyond the church, a dead space is somewhere where the enemy can hide that you cannot see them from your known location. So if you're at this location where the javelin system's at and you're staring at the church, there's dead space behind there because somebody could hide there. There's woods. Even though your maximum engagement line goes to 2,000 meters, you can't see it because the mountains are in the way, or like I said, wood line, tree line. It's just unidentifiable from your point of view. All right, so that's why it's important that everybody understands these range cards, because like I said, somebody might see something different, either using binoculars or from a different vantage point. But the best way you want to think about building sector sketches is to build a picture for the person in charge on the ground to be able to make a decision. All right, so it's very important that you identify the dead space, because obviously you're going to want to keep an eye on it. Like I said, the avenues of approach, where the roads are, and be able to see if any enemy comes out from behind the barn, for instance. All right, and last one is your gunner's reference point. It's from where your weapons icon is, like right here. They use the intersection that's right to your left. So you can identify when the person gets here for your left and right limit that they're seeing the exact same sight picture you are. If somebody else comes in to relieve you, say you guys do 12-hour shifts, and somebody else sits in this part of the hilltop or bunker, they're going to have a different left and right limit. They're going to have a different. So what you want them to do, obviously you're going to back brief them exactly the position you're sitting at and hold that range card there. But the gunner's reference point is just to make sure you guys It's like an azimuth check just to identify and make sure you guys are in the correct fighting position. All right, and last but not least is the data section. Everything that I just covered in the previous slides, you're going to write it down. So like I said, this is the primary mode or the vantage point that you guys are at, the date time group. We're using a javelin system. Each circle is 220 meters. And then you're going to number from whatever you have on your sector sketch and explain it in detail. So 230 degrees is your left limit, 289 is your right limit, and then once you start talking about your avenues of approaches, the couple roads, and then your target reference points, the church and the barn. And then in the remarks, you typically want to put your gunner reference point, and like I said, 45 degrees, and the description is it's an intersection. All right, so this pretty much concludes how to do it. I'm just going to go over a few more examples as far as what you might see and how it's actually done. All right, so here's the completed range card. Like I said, the one we just went over. Good picture for you to see the drawn magnetic north. So north is this direction. And then you're an Alpha Company, 3rd Platoon, 1st Squad. And it's just a detailed picture with everything that I kind of just explained. So like I said, this is the reason why I'm doing the classes this way. So that way you guys can log into Carmen and either have the PowerPoint up as I'm talking through it or pause it if need be if I'm going too fast. All right, so here's a couple examples. Like I said, this is a vehicle, so Bradley system Alpha 22. The magnetic north is in this general direction. And then from here, you can see the left limit and the right limit, right limit, and then 1, 2, and 3. So they talk about the hilltop right here being a reference point, and then for the other 2 and 3 is your target reference points, which are intersections. All right, so here's a major intersection right here. Here's another intersection right here for your target reference points. Like, see the dead space that they have, they drawn out right here. Like I said, and then down here they talk about the same thing in the remarks. You see WRP, that's just a weapon reference point. Same thing as a gunner reference point, same thing. All right, and then this one is typically something you'll see right here that you can see the system is a 240 Bravo date time group. Every ring is 200 meters out. And like I said, they have their left limit, their right limit, and then when they talk about 2, they even show a key at the bottom which shows a little creek, little bridges right here, and it shows your avenue of approach right here. And then they talk about your target reference points, which are the where it breaks off into dead space, and then like I said, they have the bridges over here. All right, so if you don't have a 5517 range card, it's too easy. You can just pull out your notebook and utilize it on a blank piece of paper. All right, so same thing. You have your left limit, your right limit, your avenues of approach on a main supply route, and then your target reference points, which is this house and then maybe a hilltop. All right, you want to draw your magnetic north, so where north seeking arrow is. And then the last one is your gunner reference point from where your weapon system is. Like I said, 45 degrees, you see another intersection. All right. So you don't necessarily need the 5517 in order to build a range card. So when you're out in the field doing sticks lanes, like I said, hopefully when you guys are at camp, most people won't have the 5517 with them. They can just build something simple like this and label it to where everybody understands that we're all under mutual agreement and we get a good sight picture of what the battlefield looks like. All right, here's why it's important. All the slides I've shown you is one single fighting position. As a squad leader, this might be an overall sector sketch. I apologize, this isn't really the best one, but as you can see right here, squad leader is in the middle of his formation and he is at the point of friction. So when you can see there's an intersection right here, there seems like another creek with a bridge. So obviously there's like a little minefield right here. It's got his weapon system set up right here by his support by fire team. And then he also has security or OP set up right here. Like I said, here's your assistant rifleman, your team leader up here with good communication, and then your security element down here. So another rifleman with your assault team, so that way they can head up this way and assault the objective, whichever way need be. You have a grenadier, another assistant rifleman, your other team leaders back here. Like I said, so it's like your alpha team and your bravo team. So it's kind of like an overall picture. The reason why I wanted you guys to see is important because, like I said, here's a range card. Here's another one where your main gun's at. Even your security element, if you need somebody to come out and relieve them, they should have a sector sketch. And then last but not least, make sure we have your 360 covered. For this one, it wouldn't go this way. It would go just probably to the middle of the wood line, so that way there's no fratricide or friendly fire. But here's a good example of just getting all the sector sketches and range cards and combining them to create a common operating picture. All right, so if I would have actually done this in class during the practical exercise, I would have had this picture up and made you guys draw this out. So like I said, if you guys on your own free time or want to submit to me a couple range cards maybe for some extra credit or something, I'm totally fine with that. But this is just an example what I'll use for next year's class. And then again, here's another picture you guys can utilize to draw a range card. But I think you guys get the gist of it and the importance of it. I think as an Army officer, I would say, me being a maintenance platoon leader, my experience going out to the field, we had to build the BSA and then kind of like what the FTCP, which is the field trains command post, how to logistically support the fight. And as we're set up with the UMCP, which is the unit maintenance collection point, just have to get up there and make sure we had 360 security and do stand to. So we did stand to. I followed around my platoon sergeant and we kind of just ensured or made sure I knew how to do the range cards. And it was obviously my job to draw the overall picture. So like I said, if you guys are armed with this information, you guys can definitely use this when you guys get to the regular Army. And it will definitely show that you're squared away and you've had the class before. And like I said, you'll definitely see this again when you guys are doing your field training exercises. All right, so just going over the learning objectives. I gave you guys the range card and the cheat sheet used in the symbology class, and then I had you guys apply it on how to build a sector sketch. Pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, doing practical exercise, I could probably cover this. We talk about this in patrol-based operations and defense operations, but I think it's so important I want to cover an entire class period. All right, so like I said, next is doing your journal assignment, and don't forget to do your final counseling project. And then I'm also going to open up the AAR, which is a 3-page AAR on the class of the semester, what you thought. Give me some feedback so I can improve the class for next year. And that's it. I'll see you guys all for the mandatory office hours. Thanks.